I am Carlon Steller, or Miss Steller to many of you, and today we are going to do our farewell to summer paint party style demo of this beautiful ocean sunset that reminds me of Hawaii that I love so much. So let's get our materials ready. We have a paper towel behind my easel. You have a container of water. I always use a mug, but you can use whatever you want. I have a big brush, a medium brush, and I use flathead, but it's kind of whatever makes you comfortable, and a tiny brush. A pointy one is important for this one. Then I have a plate of paint, and we have a lot of beautiful colors. We have magenta, and what I'll call pink or bubblegum pink, yellow, white, orange, and black. I kind of over poured a little bit. If you're ever wondering how much to pour so you don't waste paint, I always recommend like a quarter size, and you can always add to it, opposed to you can't really put this back in the container easily. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is establish our sky and our water line. So I'm going to grab my big brush that's been in my water and tap it on the paper towel, and I'm going to get this beautiful magenta color, and starting at the very top, I'm just going to do brush strokes from side to side. And when I run out of paint, I'm just gonna get more paint, and if like mine is a little watery, you just won't get any water this time. I'm gonna extend to the top and the sides, and we are going to do this dark pink about halfway down, going back and forth, edge to edge, and painting the sides. I'm gonna do one more layer so it really pops and looks pretty. And I stopped about halfway. And then what I'm gonna do is give a good amount of space, and I'm going to, see how it can be thick and then thin? Use the thin side and carefully draw a line across about a hand up. And that is going to be our water line. And I'm going to do this dark pink just a little bit on the top. Now, I am a loose painter, meaning I hold my paintbrush like I would a pencil, and I flick my wrist a lot. And by doing that, it just helps to where you're not so tight, you're having a little bit more fun, and it kind of has a good feathery look, which is gonna look really great whenever we start blending colors. So I am not even gonna clean my brush, and I'm going to go for our pink. And I'm gonna go right over the magenta I already had, and just work our way and blend them together. And I'm gonna stop about an inch above our water line. Paint the sides. And then I'm gonna use that pink again. And you see how I can have it thick? I'm gonna make it thin, and I'm going to paint the outside part of our water, so the sides, not thick but thin, and we're just kind of like pet, pet, pet. And then again, I'm not gonna clean my brush, unless yours is looking really chunky with paint. I'm gonna go for the white. Now, an important painter's tip is don't dunk it right in the center. Paint it from the side. It helps not ruin the white and make it like a, like a sunny side up egg where it's just like burr and ruined. So just paint from the side. And we are going to go on the bottom part of our blended pink and just go back and forth and work our way up. Do you see how now it's transitioning from that really light pink to magenta? So I'm gonna grab some more white from the side. And if I'm moving too fast for you, pause the video, you take your time. I want this to be a painting that you feel really happy with. And get a little bit more white from the side. And I'm kind of going down into that inch a little bit. That's fine. And then we're going to use that same white and do that process on the side. So not thick, but thin. And we're going to blend the white, that would be our water. And if you wanted to go that above and beyond, you can paint the bottom. Normally when you hang it up, only like animals and babies would see that, but we want them to have a good experience too. All right, now I'm gonna clean my brush. And the best way to clean my brush is I took the other brushes out and you just beat it, beat, in the bottom of your cup, and it breaks down all that paint. And then you don't have to splash it and get everywhere. Then you wipe it on the side and tap it on your paper towel, and it's good to go. And I'm actually gonna go back to that magenta. For some reason, that paint just seems kind of thin. So it's just gonna help make it look darker up there by having those layers. And maybe even towards the end when I have, you know, the time where you can make things your own personal adding, you can do that. So I just made that a little bit darker and made these a little bit darker. And you can see I'm leaving some texture down here because it's gonna kind of represent the water and make it look like waves. It's a 2-in-1 deal. Beautiful. I'm cleaning my brush, beep. Wipe it on the side. Make sure all of that pink is off of it. And now I'm going to get just regular white, and I'm going to fill in this area in the water, and it's going to naturally blend in with the wet colors on the sides because wet paint blends with wet paint. So that's okay, but now it's not going to be as intense as it was before. So you see how I have it not thick but thin and establishing that. So we've blended that white, and I'm cleaning my brush once more. Wipe it on my paper towel. And now what I'm going to do is, while that pink is still kind of wet, I'm going to grab my orange. So just scoop from the side, just create that good habit. And we are going to do, you can do thick or thin depending on your space amount. We're going to blend that pink and that orange together. So we're just going back and forth. We want to leave a little bit of gap because we're going to have some yellow there. But right now, we're just adding orange to the bottom and blending it up. You can see that blending happens when you have two wet paints, but a little bit of water helps too. If you want the orange to be more intense, add more orange to your brush. And you can always go over it a little again when it dries. And I'm flipping between thick and thin and making it go upwards. I'm going from side to side, and I'm actually just going to continue all the way up to make it as smooth as possible. Going to get some more orange on my brush. And now I'm going to do thin and just do a couple little swipes in our water. and it's gonna make it look like it's reflecting. Now remember, do the little flick flick with your wrist and it'll make it look like it's the waves on top. You can go into the white area, but the more you darken that, the less it's gonna look like the sun is reflecting. Beautiful. All right, let's clean our brush, and we need to make sure it's really clean because we're gonna get yellow. Fold to a new piece of paper towel back here. And now I'm getting my yellow, and we want to make sure and not touch any other paint yet. So I'm only going to paint the one section that's not painted yet yellow, because as soon as you touch the other colors, you see it's going to start blending. So I painted that yellow, then I'm going to get more on my brush, and I'm gonna decide how much I wanna blend that orange and yellow together by going back and forth. Now, if you are noticing that the orange is carrying too far into the yellow, then maybe just take a pause and let it dry, and we can add more yellow in a little bit. But if you want it to be more orange, then just continue doing what you're doing. See, my orange is getting a little bit, so I'm gonna take a pause, and I'm gonna go back with some bright yellow once it all dries. Then you see I have some yellow on my brush. Why not use it and just kind of swipe it up in the sky? Ooh, that looks beautiful. Then it makes it look like there's clouds going up. Oh, that got a little intense. That's all right. We can go over that with some pink. And then we'll have yellow and just a few little yellows, just little pets in the water. Get those waves established. Beautiful. Now is the time to where you kind of step back and look at your painting. And I know we've done a whole bunch in a short amount of time, so think about, do you need to let some dry? Do you need to add some other colors? I would suggest we have some dry time right now, and then we'll come back and you can add other colors, and then we'll add the trees. So I'll be back with you in a little bit. Now our dry time needs to be anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. So I've been sitting here for a little while, and you can see how it still has some shiny on it. That means that it's not quite ready for us to do all of the aspects. But what we need to do is use this time if we want to do any additional things to our background. So during this dry time that I have done, you can see I've added some more dark pink, and I've added some more yellow and orange. So I'm going to do a little bit more of that and start adding our sun and our clouds. So if you need to stop, just pause the video and get back whenever your paint is ready. So I am going to graduate from my big brush and now go to my medium brush. I like the flat, but it's kind of up to you and with what you have. So I am going to establish where my sunrise is. So if I'm looking at the picture, I have this beautiful white sun, either setting or rising. And I'm going to get my brush, and I just added a little bit of white on the top. I haven't dunked it, I just did a little bit. And I am going to figure out where I want my sunrise to be, or sunset. And I'm gonna put mine in the middle, and it's going to be a little above the yellow. So I'm just going to tentatively do kind of a little arch or frown or the top of the sun. And you can see I just have the white, and I'm just gonna push around the white that I had on my brush and kind of look at what you've already painted. I have a nice natural line right here that makes it look like a yellow cloud. So I'm just gonna kind of work around that and not paint over that. and decide how much of this white or how bright I want my white to be in my sun. I'm taking my time with the edges. We don't want to have a big chunky area. And you can see that my sun is reflective in the water now. That white makes a lot more sense. So now I'm going to get a little more white on my brush and I'm going to do a big swipe. And that swipe of confidence is going to get that dark white in there. And I can decide if I want to add any more. Maybe I want to do another swipe there. Ultimately, you can choose. Do you want to have a solid white ball, or do you want it to be kind of painterly and more realistic because you're going to have clouds on top of it? So I like mine the way it is. I might add a little white later in my personal preference time, but I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to keep my brush the way it is and just add some white on it. And I'm going to draw some of those wispy clouds that go around the sun. Now, we don't want to be like cartoon bubble ones. They're more of just kind of, we're continuing this wispy motion. So I'm actually going to hold my paintbrush towards the bottom to where I have a looser grip on it because I have a heavy hand. And I'm just going to draw some really light wispy lines in front of my sun and a little bit on top of my sun and then a little right here in the yellow. Then I'm going to go back in my white, have a little bit more on there and go over it again and make it stand out. What do you think? Maybe you want to add one on top, just over here in the orange. And if it's blending in with some wet paint, that's totally fine. And clouds are all different sizes, so sometimes you might just tap and have like some nice little line wispies. Sometimes you might have small ones. Remember that they spread out this way, so don't make it like a big chunk, kind of make it to where it spreads out. And we will go back and make that a little more white if we feel it. Now let's go and we're going to make pink and orange clouds as we go up. So I'm going to clean my brush. Remember, it's the same process of beat it in the bottom of the cup and wipe on your paper towel. And I've just gotten some orange and I am going to add a little orange to what those clouds up there. And then I'm just going to do the same process and add an orange cloud. Maybe not even clean my brush and get some pink and make it pink and add the pink with it. And you can choose how dramatic you want these to stand out or if you kind of want them to blend in. So if I was to hold my painting up closer for you, I think you can see that you can see them when you get up close. And it's all right if you get paint on you, it'll wash off. Now maybe you want to make it a little more dramatic and you have some pink on your brush and you wipe it on your paper towel. You could add a little pink to your clouds, maybe on the bottom. Make them stand out. Maybe you want a little texture and you do a little dab. I love doing clouds and you can really do them any way. And if you jumped up from this one to this one, it might make it lighter. Use your time now to kind of figure out which technique you like best for your clouds. And if you want to carry down colors, if you want to keep them just white, I like blending colors. I like all the colors. What do you think? I love it. I might add some, I'm not even gonna clean my brush, I'm gonna add the magenta. And maybe I could, add some dark purple on top of my clouds. And it's gonna make them all come together. And then I'm gonna even keep my same brush and I'm gonna do, I put a lot of paint and I'm just gonna go up here and make that top a little darker. I don't know why this paint is thin, but yeah, We can fix it. We can just do lots of layers. And going side to side will help there not be like a stopping mark from a paintbrush in the middle. Now, the next step is going to involve all black because we're doing the silhouette of the island and the tree. So we need all of this to dry. And we're really not going to go back into it unless we're feeling really brave at the end and want a little extra, pop. So let's use this time of deciding if we want to add anything or correct anything we have. So I'm looking in my water and I'm tilting it for you to see a little better. It's a little, it's a little uneven right here, but the tree's gonna cover up some of it. So I'm just gonna focus on right here where it's close to the sun. And I'm gonna add, I'm gonna clean my brush and add some white with a little bit of pink. So I'm gonna put a little white on my brush. And this one I'm doing, you can do thick or thin. I'm just doing a little thick because it's not too big. And I'm just kind of going back and forth. And then I'm not even gonna clean my brush. And I'm gonna do some white. Yeah. And then not even clean my brush and go and get that magenta and make that line really pop against that yellow. And it's perfection. I love it. I want to be in Hawaii. How y'all doing over there? Hope you're good. All right, so I'm real happy with how my water is and how my sky is looking. And I'm gonna have another dry time and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna paint the black. So use this time to change your water, to wash your hands, and make sure you have a good little brush to do those palm fronds so you don't get frustrated. Okay, so we've had our dry time and now we are just going to use black. Now, a lot of the times the black you need to do multiple layers. I don't know why, but we know we'll just take our time and we are going to be using our medium brush and our tiny brush. Right now, just our medium brush, and we are going to just get straight black and establish how we want to do our kind of land line. So you can decide, do you want to do one tree? Do you want to do two trees? Do you want to do no tree because you're terrified? It's fine, it's your painting. So I'm going to go up about an inch, about 2 fingers on that side. Paint the side. And I am just going to have fun kind of doing a wobbly line because nothing in nature is straight. And just, hit my easel. And draw a line that kind of wiggles across. And then I'm gonna paint my tree on this side. So I'm gonna have land a little bit higher on this side to support a tree. And I'm gonna turn my canvas to paint the bottom. Work smarter, not harder. And turn it back. And I love it. Now, if we're feeling a little crazy, we can draw some like little wispies from grass. So what it is just that flick. Flick, flick, flick. Or you can even tap, tap, like that. Okay, how you feeling? Now we're gonna draw our tree. I promise it's not as scary as it seems. But we need to make sure that we don't have what I call chunk brush. So chunk brush is when you have just a whole bunch of paint, like a little afro, on top of your paintbrush. Instead, we're just gonna kind of get a little bit, and we're gonna establish where we want our tree. And I'm gonna look at mine from this perspective and decide where it's gonna end. So I'm gonna have it to where it goes bloop, right there. Then we decide how tall it's gonna be. So I'm gonna have it be right there. And then I'm going to use the thin side and gently connect those lines. That easy. And you can make it to where you use a little bit of water in your brush, or you kind of just feel it and just use the paint. Now, from here, we're going to thicken, and I'm still using the thin part of my brush. I'm gonna thicken the bottom. And I think I will add a little water to my brush, so dump it in the water, tap it on the paper towel, and it just helps the paint be smooth. And you can see I'm making it a little thick. And then I'm going to make sure that it gets smaller as it goes up. So the top is about 2 brush strokes thick, and the bottom is a little bit bigger. And again, you can use a little watered down paint to help with your edges. Take your time with this, because as you can imagine, can't really take it back. And if your trunk is a little wobbly, trunks are wobbly. All right, take as much time as you need to do that, and pause as needed. But now I'm going to show you how to do the palm frond part. So I'm going to put my medium brush up, and I'm going to get my little brush. And I get that one just because it really helps it not get too much on our brush. Now, I always start with a star, meaning 5 points. So if this is the center of our palm tree, I'm going to do 5 lines off of it. So I have just a little bit of paint on my brush, and I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, get a little bit more on my brush, 4, 5, just like that. And if you want to have, it looks a little unbalanced, do another one, 6. All right, now the easiest way to do palm fronds is you can kind of go back and forth like a zigzag pattern, but what really looks best is if you just pet, 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 and pet all of the little palm frond leaves. So it gets a lot of going back and forth from your paint. Use water as needed. And on each of the leaves, make sure they're pointing down. So you just repeat over and over again, just like that. And then on the other side, you don't want to point them up towards the sky. That doesn't make sense. They point down as well. And we can go back. I have a little bit of water mixed with my black paint on my plate. Always point the leaves down. Doing great. Take your time with it, and if you get too much paint on your brush, just wipe it with a paper towel and get new. Now this is a little hard. Still have the palm fronds going down, Don't make them point towards the sky. If anything, have them pointing out. And there we have it. So now I'm gonna go back and make all of my black blacker by doing more layers. How you feeling? And I always make sure the middle is black because it would make sense for all of the palms to connect in the middle. Now, what do you think? Do you want to add a second tree? I just really like it like that. I might add a little more grass over there to balance it out. This looks like a place that I would want to go watch the sunset at. What about you? All right, yay! How do you feel about your painting? I'm gonna hold up mine closer so you can see how I did my tree. How it really wasn't that hard. You just gotta kind of think it out in different sections. How I have my sun, all my colors. I think now is what I like to call personal preference time, is you gotta look at your painting as a whole and decide, do you feel like it's finished? So it's something that you're hanging up in your house. What do you wanna add? If the room you are putting it in, do you need more yellow? Do you need more pink? Do you want this white to stand out more? I think that would look really good. So I'm gonna go over my white a little bit and my yellow, and I think I'm all finished. The only thing is make sure your brush is really clean, especially because you might even want to go clean your water. You've been using black, and sometimes I even just go like bloop, bloop, and clean my brush. I know I might sound ridiculous with my sound effects, but it'll help you remember. So I got my white. I'm gonna make, ooh yeah, it makes that pop some more. I'm careful not to touch my black, and I'm being kind of really feathery with it so that it goes. Maybe I add a little more to my clouds. And then I'm gonna get my white, or my yellow, and just, ooh yeah. Just add a little bit of yellow. Yellow makes me happy. Why wouldn't you want more yellow in your life? And I'm all done. How do you feel about yours? Please share. If we're friends on social media, you can look me up on StellerART on Facebook, or email it to me, and I would love to see your painting. If you choose to do different colors, maybe you wanted a more red or more orange sunset, more purple, it's your work, and I can't wait to see it. And I will see you for a fall painting coming up. Bye.